Hello, I'm Brent Gardner, and this is the NRA-ILA Grassroots News Minute for Friday, July 3rd. Here with today's first story is correspondent Krista Cuppe.
Thanks, Brent. Last month, we alerted our members about the arming of merchant mariners to allow them to defend their crews and ships from pirate attacks. We noted that, with the increase in pirate attacks on high seas, many are now realizing that firearms and armed citizens can be as effective a criminal deterrent at sea as they are on land. The International Maritime Organization's Maritime Safety Committee wrapped up a meeting earlier this month, where it agreed on new guidelines to combat piracy and armed robbery against ships. Among other things, the report recommends guidance to ship masters and crew who may be kidnapped or held hostage for ransom, based on the current United Nations guidance on surviving as a hostage. As hard as it is to believe, the report strongly discourages the carrying and use of firearms by seafarers for personal protection or for the protection of a ship. It further implied that carrying firearms on board the ship may encourage attackers to carry firearms or even more dangerous weapons, thereby escalating an already dangerous situation. These recommendations defy reason, given that the pirates are already heavily armed and no vessels are easy targets due to the high level of probability that seamen are unarmed. By contrast, U.S. Representative Frank Lobiando of New Jersey has introduced H.R. 2984, the United States Mariner and Vessel Protection Act of 2009. The purpose of the act is to assist in the defense of United States flagged vessels against piracy and to ensure the traditional right of self-defense. We thank Representative Lobiando for introducing this common-sense legislation to help protect U.S. flagged vessels and their crews. And now, correspondent Susan Christman for our next story.
Thanks, Krista. There are currently a number of pro-gun bills pending in Congress that require your attention and action, including the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives Reform and Firearms Modernization Act. This bill would roll back unnecessary restrictions, correct errors, and codify long-standing congressional policies in the firearms arena. These bipartisan bills are a vital step to modernize and improve BATFE operations. Of highest importance, S-941 and H.R. 2296 totally rewrite the system of administrative penalties for licensed dealers, manufacturers, and importers of firearms. This legislation would allow fines or license suspensions for less serious violations while still allowing license revocation for the kind of serious violations that would block an investigation or put guns in the hands of criminals. This will help prevent the all-too-common situations where BATFE has revoked license for insignificant technical violations such as improper use of abbreviations or filing records in the wrong order. Again, this is common-sense legislation that needs your help today. For more information on this legislation and contact information for your lawmakers, please visit www.nraila.org. Now back to you, Brent.
Thanks, Susan. June 26 marked the one-year anniversary of the landmark D.C. versus Heller case, in which the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Washington, D.C.'s handgun ban and affirmed that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to keep and bear arms. Yet, despite this great victory, those who would still deny our Second Amendment rights are always looking for ways to thwart our success and reverse that decision. And while the case affirmed that the Second Amendment prohibits the federal government and federal entities such as Washington, D.C. from banning handguns for self-defense, the decision did not resolve the separate question of whether the Second Amendment applies to the state and local governments. Currently, litigation is still going on in Washington, D.C. to implement the Heller decision. Suits by NRA and others have challenged the city's adoption of California's handgun ban scheme, as well as its ban on guns the city calls assault weapons, and on standard capacity ammunition magazines that hold more than 10 rounds of ammunition. In the past 2 weeks, D.C. has issued 2 sets of emergency regulations. The emergency, apparently, is the district's desire to end these lawsuits. While the full impact of these changes on the lawsuits has not yet been determined, this is an important step toward recognition of the district's residents' rights. We'll be sure to keep you informed on any new developments. For more information on any of these stories and up-to-date legislative alerts, please visit www.nra-ila.org. And from all the NRA-ILA staff, please have a happy and safe 4th of July.